Let's talk fueling strategy for my first ultra. We have the View 50 Mile Ultra this weekend, and I want to share with you the preliminary strategy that I have for the crew and myself throughout the entire race and the day that I've put together based off of the science project that I've gone through the last essentially 4 months of gut training and understanding what works and doesn't work with my body. And so in terms of numbers, and I can put them on the screen here, in terms of numbers, roughly about 80 to 110, 120 grams of carbs per hour, roughly 500 to 800 milligrams of sodium salt per hour. Of course, you have to throw magnesium and potassium in there to have a good electrolyte balance. As much water as I can drink. Of course, through each aid station, I'll be able to do refills, which is essentially about a liter per hour. Thankfully, in Sedona, the weather has been a lot less hot than it's been in the past. I'm not a big sweater, to be completely transparent with you, and so my fluid loss is not going to be nearly as high as my training has been here in the Valley of Arizona when it's been 95 to 105 degrees this year. And so everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face, and so this is my preliminary plan until I would assume mile 20, 25, 30, 35, when the competition, when the race really begins to start and I actually get that throat punch right in the face, I'm going to have to change up my plan. So how am I going to get there with all of those carbs and all of those numbers? Essentially, what I've come up with is a pretty easy to follow fueling strategy. First and foremost, one of my favorite products, I've had this. We currently still do Fueled Supplements. The company that I originally started with my dad that he still owns has used Carbolin, which is cluster dextrin carbohydrates. It's derived from starches, potatoes, rices, things of that nature. It acts as if it's a glucose carb, but it doesn't have the fall off. It has a much longer taper, which is going to be much more sustained energy. So I'll be sipping this throughout each aid station, which is 50 grams per serving there. The next one, and I've used many gels. This is the gel that's worked the best with my gut, and also it packs a punch with 50 grams. And so this is an easy way for me to not have to do a bunch of math whilst I'm out there. They're just called Carbs Fuel. For me, I don't know, they stink a little bit. They kind of smell like after you puke and you don't brush your teeth. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. My wife doesn't think that. Nobody else has said that to me. But I love these. Plus, they have an extra 105 milligrams of sodium in them as well. Then once we get to aid station number 3, I'll have some Mega Rice Krispies, my favorite secret weapon. Easy to digest. Obviously, it's a nice little sweet treat. I'll have something to combat the sweetness here in a second. This is 48 grams of carbohydrates. This is something that's super easy to digest, gets in my system fast. And once again, it's close to that 50 grams of carbs, so I don't have to do a bunch of math. Every aid station, I'm going to be doing 2 capsules of this, which is a true 430 milligrams of salt. Obviously has magnesium, potassium in there as well. You want to round out your electrolytes. You can't just be taking in sodium without any magnesium and potassium. You're going to have an electrolyte imbalance. And so I'll be doing 2 capsules of this every aid station, which is going to help me get to about 500 to 700 milligrams of sodium per hour. And then starting aid station number 3, I'll have 20 grams of carbs in my form of favorite Sun Chips, which is the blue OG. I know many people are probably like, I love the garden, whatever one, the red bag or the cheese ones. The blue bag is absolutely the GOAT, my favorite one. And that will start. I have some mini Coca-Colas in there. And then stimulants. The last thing I'll talk about is stimulants. I'm not a big stim guy before the race. I'll have 1 cup of black coffee beforehand just to get the system rolling, if you know what I mean. I get a couple pre-poops, yeah, maybe the poop before the poop, pre-race poops out there. And then after that, I'm taking some Imodium and we're going to be calling it a day. We want things to go back up for the time being, and then they can work themselves out next week. So caffeine, in terms of stimulants, I'll be taking this about mile 15 to 20. That'll be the first time I give the crew a green light or red light on the caffeine. I'm very cognizant of when to use and not to use caffeine. I love these pills because it's 1 capsule will get you 100 milligrams of caffeine plus 100 milligrams of L-theanine. I love the L-theanine in there. It takes a little edge and bite off of the caffeine just because I don't want to ramp heart rate too much. So that is my tentative fueling strategy for my first 50-mile ultra. Well, my first ultra outside of training. And so I'm excited for this. We've done a lot of planning and preparation. I've done a lot of training. I'm a little bit beat up, a little bit injured, but as long as I can toe the line at about 75 to 80%, I'm going to empty the tank on Saturday. And I trust that with some preparation, with some will, and of course, God, and all of the encouragement from my crew and the people that I'm going to be running the race with, I know that can be done. So this is what a beginner's fueling strategy is heading into my first 50-mile ultra.